Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy, King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Monday, November 28th slate of NBA action, man. I'm super excited to dive into it. We have a full 10-game slate on tonight, and man, we have some really good matchups. We'll go ahead and talk about those here in just a minute. But before we did, I did just want to go ahead and say that we are still currently on the road to 9,000 subscribers. We are less than 200 subscribers away from that 9,000 mark. So if you guys do want to be a part of being the first 9,000 subs here on the channel, make sure that you guys do hit that sub button. And if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, and thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me, so much more than you guys will ever know. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap as of yesterday. Yesterday was pretty much a wash of a day. Like, seriously, it was. We ended up losing just the tiniest little bit of juice as of yesterday, but we'll talk about it. I'll be honest. The Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors game was the only game that I did lose any of my plays in. So we'll talk about those. It was definitely like, I just read the game wrong.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
Is completely what happened. So we did have Draymond Green under 14.5 points plus rebounds versus Minnesota at minus 120. He really didn't get the rebounds. The rebounds were not there for him. So I guess because when I was initially doing it, I was trying to decide what prop I wanted to go under with, if I wanted to go under his points, under his rebounds, and I decided to do both. I guess his rebounds truly was the play, but he ends up having 19 points. Like that's a scoring outburst that we haven't really seen from Draymond Green in quite some time. So the fact that he did almost score 20 was, that's just very unfortunate. But, it is what it is. So we ended up losing that one. Then we did also have Rudy Gobert, our added play, over 12.5 rebounds versus Golden State. I was listening to my comment section on this one. I had like 3 or 4 people by like 8:30 go ahead and put Rudy Gobert over in 12.5 rebounds as your best bet. It wasn't really his day. In the first half is what really hurt us, because in the second half he did pick it up, finished right with 10 rebounds, but in the first half of that game, he only grabbed 4 rebounds. So, with that being said, if he would have kept up close to the same as he did in the second half, we may have been talking about a whole different story. I know he finished with just 2 in the first quarter too, so it's like, it was just a tough day for Mr. Gobert. But then we did end up having our kill shot play of the day, Grizzlies and the Knicks over 231.5 at minus 110 odds. This is the definition of whenever I always say a game is never over until it's over, because the Knicks and the Grizzlies, both these offenses were really not playing at a fast pace. Both these offenses, to be honest, weren't really caring if they put the ball in the basket or not. It was a very low-scoring game for that first half. I think the total was at like 104 at halftime, and then both teams ended up going absolutely ballistic, both dropping over 120. So it was a very good game overall, and was able to hit this over. That's the main thing at the end of the day. Then we did have our plus value play, Miles Turner under 8.5 rebounds versus Clippers at plus 100. This one was great because Zubac, oh my goodness, what kind of game did he throw out there? That was an absolutely electric game. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch the highlights of that Zubac game. That was one of the most dominant performances I've seen in a very long time. He was doing everything. He was catching oops. He was getting almost every rebound. He was getting so many blocks. He had his back to the basket. He had post hooks in his game. He had, like dunk opportunities. He had slip opportunities, roll opportunities. Dude was doing literally everything out there. It was absolutely electric. And just take a look at his numbers. He went ballistic. But Miles Turner does stay under this 8.5 rebounds, so it ends up working out for us. So we ended up losing 0.09 units. I mean, literally not even a tenth of a unit. So it was pretty much a wash of a day. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's plays. I am super confident in these plays. I love these plays. I'm like, literally, I could have made all of these my kill shot play of the day. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the kill shot play of the day. my boy Zach LaVine over 21.5 points here versus Utah at minus 125 odds. Now there is a little bit of a the lines are a little bit weird right now because FanDuel has this line at 22.5, juice to the over at minus 118, and PointsBet has this line at 23.5. So there's a whole 2-point discrepancy depending on what book that you have here. But according to DraftKings, it is set to 21.5, and it is to the over at minus 125. So that's where I'm taking it. But since LaVine did have that incident where he got benched in the clutch time versus the Orlando Magic, he has gone over in 2 out of his 3 games. He's been playing really well, and I think we see another good game from him once again. The game is going to be in Utah, which so far this year, Zach LaVine has only played 5 road games, and he has hit the over in 3 of them. The only 2 that he didn't hit the over against was against the Celtics and the Bucks. Now, the Bucks literally statistically are the best defense in all basketball, and let's be honest, the Boston Celtics are a good defense. They're starting to figure things out now. And so with that being said, he had the games that he went under were against great defenses. So it's not like he was, just missing shots or anything, or not taking shots, whatever the case might be. He really was just going up against really tough matchups. Well, Utah is not necessarily that. In the last 3 games, the Utah Jazz have allowed the 3rd most points per game to opposing teams in general. And the Jazz, they also have allowed the 5th most points per game to opposing shooting guards in the last 5 games. So I think that this speaks a ton of volume. This is a great spot to be targeting the Jazz. They have not looked great here recently when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They've been really good over the course of the season. But as of right now, over the last 3 games, they really have been off to a pretty tough start. Also, the Jazz, they do allow the 9th fewest points per game to opposing small forwards in the last 7 games. And why that's important to me is because it could be a tough matchup here for DeMar. We may see some more shots out of Zach LaVine instead, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Also, Zach LaVine has gone over in 5 straight games here versus the Utah Jazz. And the Utah Jazz, they are 7th in pace. They're a very, very fast-paced team. The over-under set to 234.5. And I don't see why this can't hit the over. So I think it's a pretty good spot to target here for our kill shot play of the day. Zach LaVine over 21.5 points here versus Utah at minus 125 odds. Now for our second play of the day, we're going to be taking Nikola Jokic under 45.5 PRAs here versus the Rockets at minus 105 odds. Now if you take a look at it, I mean, this line is still incredibly high for Jokic, who hasn't necessarily had as great of a statistical season as he had last year. He has only hit this over 5 times so far this year. So this number is just a little bit too high. And not only that, he has actually gone under this line in 3 straight matchups here versus the Houston Rockets. And there's just so many ways for this game, or for him to be able to go under in this one. Not to mention the Houston Rockets do also allow the 2nd fewest points per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games. They also allow the 4th fewest rebounds per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games, and 2nd fewest assists per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games. This speaks a lot of volume. These numbers, Alperen Sengun and some of the big guys there off of Houston, they've been doing a really good job at guarding the center position. So I think that Jokic may need to dish the rock out just a little bit more, get some of his other players involved, and not to mention, like I said, so many ways to go under. Nikola Jokic, as we all know, can be prone to foul trouble. He does like to foul a lot every once in a while. Also, the spread is 11.5 points. This has a blowout written all over it. He could be sitting for a lot of the late game, which could lead to another reason that we could hit his under. And the over-under is pretty low. The over-under is only 229 for 2 defenses that haven't necessarily been great. So it's a pretty low over-under for two defenses that haven't been good, and it's an 11.5 point spread. You never really know with those sort of things. So I definitely think that Nikola Jokic could see a little bit of a limited time here in this game. So I really do like it for our second play of the day. Nikola Jokic under 45.5 PRAs here versus the Rockets at minus 105 odds. Now for our third play of the day, this is going to be a parlay builder. This is going to be just a parlay piece. If you want to throw this into a parlay or something along those lines, go for it. I think it's got a really good chance of hitting. So we're going to be riding with it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 5.5 assists here versus the Pelicans at minus 145 odds. Now, if you take a look at it, Shai has gone over this line in 7 out of his last 8 games. He's been really, really good to this line. And in his last 7 games, or in the last 7 games, excuse me, the Pelicans do allow the 10th most assists per game to opposing shooting guards. And with that being said, they don't really give up a lot of points to that shooting guard position either. They give up the 8th fewest points per game to opposing shooting guards, which may force him to pass the ball just a little bit more, helping out with his assist number, of course. Also, not to mention, New Orleans Pelicans, a very, very fast-paced team. They are 13th in pace, and in the last 3 games, they're actually 9th in pace. So they are trending in the faster-paced direction. Also, they're going up against OKC, the fastest-paced team in all of basketball. So I think that, with that being said, it's going to be a very fast-paced game. It's going to lead to a lot of fast breaks, and with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander running the floor, I don't see why he can't get to 6 assists. And with those potential double teams that he could draw, because he's far and away the best player on the OKC Thunder, I just think that we could be seeing a lot of assists from a guy like SGA. I think that you can also get this line at 6.5 on other books. I'm going to take the juice. I'm going to throw it into some parlays. I think it's got a great chance of hitting. The Pelicans last game did end up giving up 132 points to Memphis Grizzlies. I don't see why they can't give up, 120 over here to the Thunder. Very high scoring offense, very fast paced offense. I don't know why we can't see SGA over 6 or more assists. So that's going to be our third play of the day. SGA over 5.5 assists here versus the Pelicans at minus 145 odds. Now for our fourth and final play of the day, we're taking a spread. We're going with the 76ers -1 here versus the Hawks at minus 110 odds. Yes, you guys heard me right. We are taking the 76ers versus the Hawks. We're taking the 76ers spread. Now, I like this for a couple different reasons. The line movement on this has been wild so far. As from the time that this line opened, the Hawks were favored by 4.5 points. The line since then has shifted all the way down to 76ers -1. Now, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. This is absolutely wild to me. I don't know if, the books may have gotten insider information that maybe Joel Embiid might be back. Hopefully that's the case, but either way, I'm still going to be taking it because the 76ers surprisingly have been really good against the spread, even without Joel Embiid, even without James Harden, even without Tyrese Maxey. They've still been really good. They've actually covered in 7 of their last 8 games, and so despite all the injury issues that they are having, this 76ers team has still been really, really solid. The only injury so far for the Hawks is Clint Capella is listed as questionable. So either way, if he ends up getting ruled out or ruled in, it doesn't really affect me too much. I still think that Philadelphia has a good chance because in their last 7 matchups here versus the Atlanta Hawks, they've actually won in 5 of them. So I think it's a pretty good spot to target here. And also, the Hawks, they have not necessarily been a good cover team here recently. They've only covered in 1 of their last 6 games. That speaks a lot of volume to me. I just don't think that it's a really good spot here for the Hawks as a 1-point underdog. So we're going to be riding with it for our fourth and final play of the day. 76ers -1 here versus Atlanta at minus 110 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are on the road to 9,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys are subbed. But that's going to do it for me. This is King Sarah signing out. Peace.